Today marks a pretty big milestone in my carnivore journey. Although losing weight was not one of my motivations to do a carnivore diet, for me, it was just kind of like a side benefit, I guess, because I was looking to solve the problem that I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I had no energy, I couldn't function. I was basically trapped in my own body just several months ago. I was definitely desperate to find something that would improve my situation. And out of everything I tried, a carnivore diet was the one thing that made a noticeable difference. But today marks the loss of 50 pounds. I never imagined that I would be in a position to where I could actually lose 50 pounds in the first place, but that's how things happened over the last decade or maybe couple of decades of my life. As I got older, I slowly gained weight, and although I remained active, it just kept getting harder and harder to keep the weight off. And the difference between how I feel now and a few months ago is just completely night and day. I still have a long ways to go in my health recovery journey. I don't know if I ever will recover 100%. I certainly have hope that I do. But for anybody wondering what a carnivore diet will do to your overall health, to your weight, here's what's happened in just over 5 months. It's been exactly 158 days as of today. I started tracking everything about my health to try and figure out anything that would help. So that included weight, BMI, body fat, water percentage, muscle mass, more recently with the different scale, things like protein, visceral fat, metabolic age. I was tracking what I was eating, how much exercise was doing, how many steps was I taking, and then also trying to take just general notes of my overall feeling, because my progress has been so incredibly slow that from week to week or even month to month, it's hard to see a difference. But if I look back 2-3 months, I can see, oh yeah, I was worse than I definitely have improved since that point. So tracking things has been incredibly important. And now that I've been tracking it for 5 months, I can just see the drastic changes on paper or on a screen. And I just want to tell people what has happened, because if you're suffering from some sort of autoimmune disease or unknown illness like I am, there's a really good chance that this could work for you too. So obviously, number one, weight loss, guaranteed it works for that. From what I can tell, no side effects. I have no pains, no aches, no issues that I didn't already have before. If anything, all of my symptoms have improved. Now, I have had some testing done on certain vitamins and minerals, and certain things are lower than normal, like vitamin C, vitamin K, and my doctor has recommended supplementing with some of those to try and bring those up. I don't have any side effects or downsides that I'm actually physically feeling from those other than the test saying they're low. I have actually tried to supplement with some of those things, and they've actually made me feel worse because I have cut out all plants from my diet 100%. It seems like any of those that I take back in, whether that's small amounts that are actually used to make the physical capsules or the powder that makes up the vitamins, all of those seem to have a negative effect on me. So I'm currently not taking any supplements whatsoever. Really, my diet is beef. I drink some milk. I do use salt to flavor my meat, and I don't seem too bothered by small amounts of cheese. I try not to overdo it. Same thing with eggs. It seems like I can eat them, but I can't survive on just those. They just don't do anything for me the way a steak does, or hamburger, or even jerky. Any one of those things seems like they fill me up. I'm satisfied. I have energy, and that seems to be all I really need right now. But to get into specifics, weight went from 218 pounds at the start of this diet on day 1 down to a current weight of 168 pounds. So on day 1 of starting this diet, because I was tracking everything, I was at 218 pounds, probably the heaviest I've ever been in my whole life. But keep in mind that for the last year and a half, I was completely inactive. I could not do anything. Just getting up out of a chair more than once or twice a day was extremely difficult. So I could not exercise at all. And that obviously wasn't helping. But just by diet alone and not by exercising, I have dropped again 50 pounds in just over 5 months. I was about 35% body fat at that point in time. Water weight was at 47%. Now that BMI has now dropped down to a healthy 24. Body fat is now also down to a healthy 17%. So I went from the obese category to overweight, and now I am healthy. Really happy about that. I think about it this way. I was struggling to move, struggling to do anything physically. Lifting stuff was hard. Moving stuff was hard. And I feel like losing that 50 pounds has just helped me so much because my body is not straining just to move me anymore. And I think there's even a little more that can be trimmed off because I know what weight I was at when I was a much younger age. The weight loss certainly has slowed down over the last month or so. I'm definitely not losing weight as rapidly as I was at the very beginning of this diet experiment, but it certainly is still happening. Water weight was on the low side for me. As a percentage of body weight, it looks like it was around 47% initially starting out, and now my water weight is up to 59%. Now, obviously, I have lost a ton of weight, so my percentage of muscle mass has also kind of flipped, gone from about 38% up to 53%. So just massive change there as well. Now, some of the more detailed things I was not tracking at the very beginning of this, like protein, for example, but I do have it for about 3 months. So I can see my protein about 3 months ago. So I got basically 2 months of data missing. I don't know what it was when I originally started this diet. Protein level was about 17.5%, and today I'm at 18.7%, and it's just a very steady trend increasing throughout the entire time. Over that same 3-month period, visceral fat has gone from 10 down to 7, so that has just been a slow decrease. Subcutaneous fat started about 19.8 3 months ago and is now down to 15.5. These are all good things. And probably the most interesting one to me is my metabolic age. So I am currently 35 years old. When I started tracking this about 3 months ago, I was 34, and my metabolic age, according to the calculations the scale I'm using does, said I was 34. So I was right on track. My guess is a couple of months prior to that, when I was at my worst, I might have been older on paper as far as my metabolic age, because there is a very continuous trend downward. So I was right on target about 3 months ago, and that means I'd been on the carnivore diet for a couple of months. I was already seeing substantial improvements, and over time, about 2 months ago, my metabolic age dropped down to about 33, and then it kind of bounced back and forth between 33, 34. My age also changed to 35 at that point, so I figured that was a good thing, that it kind of stayed the same or went a little lower. And then just under 2 months ago, it dropped down permanently to 33. And then at the beginning of the month of July, less than 30 days ago, my metabolic age dropped down to 32. And just about a week ago, it dropped down another step and has stayed there at 31. So I have looked into this, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around metabolic age. I know it doesn't mean you're like actually getting younger, but it definitely is something that shows how well your body is processing and converting energy. And I do find that really fascinating that that has improved so much. So my metabolic age says I'm 4 years younger than I really am. The only comment I guess I have to add on to that is when people see me in person, or if they see me on another video I released on one of my other channels, I am absolutely getting comments from people saying, you look so much healthier. People are asking what I'm doing. I have, in fact, had people tell me, you actually look younger. And I don't care about looking old or young. It doesn't really matter to me. I really just wanted to be healthy enough that I could walk, I could ride a bike, I could get outdoors, I could do things with my family again. And I'm starting to gain those things back. So that's what's most important to me. I just think that seeing those things happening on paper, seeing the effects and hearing other people notice the change, it all just tells me that this is actually working. Now, I don't necessarily want to be on a carnivore diet for the rest of my life, unless that turns out that it's the best thing for me. Then it is what it is. That's what I'm going to do. But I have to say, I would love to introduce other foods again. I would love to just eat rice, as strange as that sounds. Some rice with a little bit of butter and salt on it actually sounds really good. The problem is that going to be good for me? Am I going to take those carbs, convert them to sugars that are going to cause health problems again? I don't really know. For anyone else that's on a carnivore diet, that's done this, that has brought in other foods, I'm always open to suggestions of what foods might be the best to experiment with and test. And I'll try small amounts and see what happens. I feel like I've improved to the point that soon I'm going to start doing that, but I'm going to be very, very careful, very, very selective, because out of the few things I have tried over the last several months, I definitely notice that I can just basically revert and my symptoms start coming back and I start moving backwards. And it's really hard to bounce back when that happens. It takes not just days, but it can take weeks. It can take even months. I have definitely seen times where I've overdone it physically or eaten the wrong thing, and it sets me back to where I was a couple of months prior. And I don't want to set myself back that much. I want to keep steadily improving as much as I possibly can. So this whole thing for me has just been a wild, crazy journey. Just 6 months ago, I would have never guessed that I'd be down 50 pounds. Just not in a million years. I would have not have guessed the level of energy that I have now. So I'm hoping that I can say that again in another 6 months from now. I can say that I have improved more than I expected. And I didn't have a lot of expectations going into this because I wasn't sure if it was even going to work. I just figured I had nothing to lose. Honestly, I was desperate for something. But to wrap this up, I'm just going to say, if you're having some sort of health challenge that you cannot resolve, you can't figure out, there's nothing wrong with you on tests, whatever it is, maybe it's just overweight and you just want to do something to try and fix it, try a carnivore diet. I have done so much research on this, and I have found literally no downsides to doing this. All the studies, all the things that say meat is bad for you, it seems like all of those were funded by some organization that has another agenda to it, or the studies were very convoluted and mixed with other things that just skewed the results. And I found so many other people doing this that it's helping. That helped me to try it. So I highly recommend you give it a shot. And as long as you stick to the diet, it will work. If you want to keep following the progress, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I promise I'll be back.